Hello everybody, I hope you're keeping well and safe and sane, etc, etc, etc. And I hope your dry January plans are going as well as you'd hoped. Mine almost were. Now I've got a bit of a conundrum. A rather splendid friend of mine gave me this delightful 21-year-old Jura. And I've really got to wait till the end of the month to crack this beautiful thing open. Oh, if only I could do it a few days earlier. Thank God then for Burns Night. God bless you, Rabbi Burns. Burns Night's a bit of a culinary feast, really. If you can get yourself over the haggis hurdle, not that I'm an enormous fan, but there are other things. Venison is just wonderful at this time of year. Conway mussels generally, but I think Conway ones in January are at their peak. David does this fantastic dessert, a cranachan, which is something of a traditional thing. And then, of course, there's this rather lovely soup. Dave's done this for our Burns Night things in the past, and it's called Cullen Skink. And it's not just for Burns Night, it's just a classic winter, coming from a freezing cold, rainy day, and this thing gets put in front of you, and it's so warming, nourishing, and ideally you'd have a fireplace to sit in front of. And it's wonderful. You know, it's like a French bouillabaisse or a New England clam chowder. This can hold its own against any of those. It's one of the best sort of fish soup type things going, and it's actually very easy to make.
The first thing you'll have to avail yourself of to make this recipe is a fillet of smoked haddock. Getting hold of one of those in the middle of lockdown might be a bit of a problem.
Fortunately, I do have a rather nice fishmongers around the corner, and they deliver. Aha! Splendid.
Your fresh delivery, sir.
Thank you very much indeed. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thanks, Wayne.
Bye.
Cheers again.
Cheers, thank you.
And there she is. Splendid. I probably won't need all of that, but I'm a greedy so-and-so, so I will. And there's lots of different recipes that lay claim to the original specific Cullen Skink recipe using our broth smokies or whatever it is. But smoked haddock is the classic. Very important that you go for the undyed smoked haddock. Not that there's anything wrong with the dyed stuff, but it does rather remind me of the stuff they used to make you walk through to get to the swimming pool. Do you remember? And you're looking for a certain look here, so undyed, please. As this is so gratuitously vast, I'm going to cut this in half, and I'm going to put both halves into a pan, and then add about one of these, just enough water to cover it. Drop in a couple of bay leaves, and by the time that's come to the boil, the fish will have actually cooked. You don't want to turn it into shoe leather. Give a little test just to make sure it is okay, but usually by that time it's done. While that's bubbling away, I've got all this here. If I say all this, it's really not much, is it? This is the core ingredients. We've got potatoes here, we've got some fennel, nice leeks, onions. I'm going to chop it and make it all look like this. Ta-da! Right, let's check on the haddock. Right, that's bubbling away nicely now, so turn that off. And here comes the exercise in trying to maybe just get rid of some of this flotsam and jetsam, and then very carefully just lift the haddock out and keep that somewhere, yada-da-da-da, like that, just to cool down a little bit. But do hang on to that, don't throw that away, okay? Right, as you can see, this is a 2-pan problem, Watson, so I'm going to melt some butter in there, add a little bit of olive oil too, and then that is going to go into that. You see? I like these. Do-do-do-do. And stir it all in and drop the heat right down, because you don't want to burn any of this. You want it to be lovely and golden and all that kind of stuff. Nice and soft, but not brown and crispy. And that's going to take roughly 10 minutes, something like that. In the meantime, I'm going to peel these potatoes, and then they are going in there. There we are, 10 minutes later, it looks a little bit like this. That looks like that. So in you go, my beauties. Yum. And then give that a good old stir in. A good old season with some salt and pepper as well. And then we're going to add you. There we are. Crank up the heat, get this beauty boiling, and then once it's boiling, drop it down and leave it for about 10 minutes. And while that's simmering away, we're going to return our attention to Mr. Haddock down here. There we are. What we're going to do is take all the skin off and then flake it, keep everything in that bowl, making sure we get all the bones out as well, until it looks like this. Ta-da! Now, here's where it gets slightly tricky. Now, pay attention. Firstly, I'm going to be very silly and then reach in and try and take this bay leaf out without hurting myself. Success! Then, with the old slotted spoon here, I'm going to take out just a decent sized helping of the fennel, leek, onion and potato mix. And just keep that to one side. Okay? Something like that should do it. Then I'm going to add most of, but not all, there we are, that should do it, the haddock flakes. Stir all that in.
Put the rest of the haddock in with the leeks, fennel and potato, etc. Get some foil over it and put it in an oven at a very low temperature. You just want to keep it warm while we finish the rest of this off. Now get about 500 millilitres, say, of milk, put that in the pan and start blitzing.
There we are. And it takes a little while, but eventually you'll have this lovely, rich, beautiful sort of puree. This is going to be the soup, so we're going to bring this back to the heat again, let it simmer for a while, and then I'll prep it up. Watch this. Now then, carefully, obviously make sure you leave a trail of soup on the way, from the pan to the bowl. Spoonful of the haddock and leek, like that, in the middle. And here, some chopped chives and parsley to go around like that. Slanjava. Here's the dry February, maybe.